Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'm going to get into the first 3 steps you need to take in order to start the process of self-producing a play. Before you get started, I'm assuming that you've already asked preliminary questions. Is this role perfect for me? Do I like the play as a whole? Is it likely that I won't be able to be in this play unless I produce it myself? The reason that these preliminary questions are so important is because it's inevitable that you're going to run into obstacles and setbacks. Your North Star through this entire process is going to be, this part is perfect for me. I love this play. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime that I'm giving to myself. You'll always have the strength of that foundation to go back on whenever the hits the fan. I'll stop giving all the disclaimers and I'll finally jump in. Number 1, get the rights. First, start with just a Google search. Who owns the rights? Usually it's Sam French or the dramatist, and you can find out that information online. It's very rare that you're not able to. What's cool about this process is like 90% of it is done online. They're going to ask you very specific questions in the application, like what's your venue? What's your director? And because this is typically the first step, apply for the rights, because you need to know, am I even gonna get the rights in order to start thinking about producing this play? It's not essential that you already have a director nailed down, a venue nailed down. In fact, I would encourage you to not necessarily have a venue nailed down. I'll get into more specifics about that in a minute. Answer to the best of your ability. It's actually a really good time for you to start imagining, how do you see this play? What kind of venue do you want it in? What kind of person would you like to be working with? But just use it as an opportunity to get those wheels turning, and don't be intimidated by it, because it's not like they're gonna hold you to this answer that you put down, like, oh, you said you were gonna do it in this venue and now you're telling us you're gonna do it at this other venue. Boom, you can't have the rights. Typically, it's not about that at all. They just want to get an idea of the scope of your project and your intention for it. There's 2 categories that you can apply for: non-professional and professional. Typically, you're probably gonna apply for non-professional, which doesn't mean that it's not a high quality production and that you're not actual theater professionals with skills and experience and ability behind it. It's easier to get the rights if you apply non-professional. I've always applied for non-professional. I've always encouraged people, actors that I know that are producing a play for themselves, to apply for non-professional. It doesn't mean that it can't be an equity showcase or you can't hire equity actors or anything like that. It's just, as far as I understand, a distinction that only matters in terms of what your production is competing against. Please drop a comment below if you're knowledgeable in this area and you want to contribute. Another specific question that they're going to ask you, and this is a little bit more important that you give an accurate answer, is what dates were you hoping to do this for? Now, I think that there's a sweet spot in terms of how far out versus how soon. You might have to be flexible with these dates. Sometimes they have productions that overlap and they're not okay with you having the rights for certain dates, but they'll be okay with you having the rights for it later on. And also bookmark this in terms of the dates and the flexibility with the venue, which I'll be talking about. And next, moving on to number 2, the venue. Okay, so there's a bunch of things to consider. The first tool I want to give you is this, which is a lovely website where you can go and search for venues that are available in your area. And sometimes they even have updated information, but always call or check out their specific website. And it's all kinds of spaces, like conventional theater spaces, rehearsal spaces, music venue spaces, like even like cafes and lofts. And it's just a great general wash of an initial search. You don't have to see it the way that designers see it or a director sees it, but I would really encourage you as the producer to start bringing in images, ideas that you have of the type of space you think this play fits in. Take a look at as many of those venues as you can, and this might be the thing that you're doing while you're waiting to hear back about the rights, so that when you meet with the person who manages the space, you can say, okay, here are the dates that I applied for, still waiting to hear back on the rights, and they're used to dealing with this. You can say, so what would the rates be for this amount of time, and do you have that available? Just make sure that you factor in those extra days on that first week for your load in your tech and possibly an open dress rehearsal if you choose to have that. Once you've looked at your venues and you've done that research, you've gotten the preliminary data that you need to ballpark your budget. Number 3 is your team. This is a step that maybe happened before you even got to step 1 of applying for the rights. Maybe you and your buddy were chatting and you were like, oh my God, I've always wanted to put this play on. Oh my God, me too. You'd be perfect for that part. I'd be perfect for this part. Yay, let's go. This is such a dream scenario because not only can you share responsibility, you have a shared network of people to draw in terms of participating in the project or coming to support the project or participating in a fundraiser to help the project. If you're in that situation, hopefully you're working with someone who's really reliable, because putting on a play together is kind of like having a baby or something. I mean, not that permanent, but effort and time and planning and the need to make a real commitment to each other, basically through thick or thin. There's gonna be tension and arguments and disagreements that come up, and you need to have a flexible enough relationship to be able to work through that. It makes it so that this mountain of putting on an indie theater production is something that is a team effort to get up, instead of it being something that you need to tackle entirely or mostly by yourself. Number 2 is your director. Mainly, I would just urge you to consider someone that you can collaborate with. If you don't personally know of people, ask your people. I've found that people in the theater community are so generous when it comes to recommending creatives that they trust. Reach out to this person. Hopefully you have a PDF of the play. It makes it very easy to share if they aren't already familiar with it. Send it over to them, sit down with them after they've had a chance to read it, ask them what they think about this play, how they see it, how they like to work. Try to get a read for how flexible is this person, what is the previous work that they've done. Do they like things that are more conventional or more avant-garde? Where do they fall on that scale? What kind of play are you producing and where does it fall on that scale? Are they looking to do something that's in their wheelhouse that they've done before a lot, or are they looking to stretch themselves creatively? And number 3 is your castmates. This is such an important part of the project, obviously. You're gonna wanna find people who are not only suited for the role and have the capability, but also have the level of passion needed to be in a play of this size and scope. Unless you're dealing with a really big budget and you've got a fancy publicist and a producer who's willing to push this play and fill the seats and be really fanatic about it, you're gonna be dealing with people who are going to have to shoulder some kind of burden of not getting paid a ton. Hopefully they're doing the part because it's a great showcase for them. Or maybe they're on the greener side and it's gonna help them cut their teeth on some real theater and get some real action time in that's like not just in a class, but it's gonna be in front of a live audience, and it's a true theatrical collaboration that's happening en route to that performance. And again, someone who's gonna have the availability. And this is where you've gotta kind of do a little bit of look into the crystal ball and try to foresee what a rehearsal schedule might look like. Say it's your supporting cast member and it's like a two-hander, right? So you're gonna have to be very careful about how you go about casting that in terms of ability and availability and passion. Say this person works a 9 to 5 and you exclusively bartend at night. It sucks, but you're gonna have to consider things that are as dumb as that. Ask them, do they have any wiggle room? Are they willing to rehearse on the weekends? So you have an idea of what your schedule could look like, and you can start cobbling together something that might work for you and also your director. Last but not least, it's a very important member, is the stage manager. My recommendation to people who are self-producing for the first time is to make sure you have a seasoned stage manager, because a seasoned stage manager is going to save your ass. They might even be familiar with the venue, the light and the sound board that they have at this venue. That's another thing you can float to them. Again, availability is going to be a big thing for a stage manager because they're such in high demand. Good stage managers are hard to come by, and people who do indie theater know that they are worth the money that you pay them and the respect that you give them. They can be the glue that holds the production together when it feels like it's falling apart during load-in and tech, or bumpy rehearsals that you have, or if your actor books something and they're gone for a week suddenly. The stage manager is a great person to get into place as soon as you can, and to try to be flexible with them and understanding in terms of their schedule. And also, I would encourage you in your budget to not skimp on them. They are well worth the money that you give them. And it's always helpful if they happen to be a fire guard too. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to hit that bell for notifications. Please let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything else that I left out. Have you produced before? Are you considering producing? What play would be your dream play in terms of a role for you to put on? Thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Okay? Centered? Well, okay. Don't be intimidated. And don't be intimidated by it.